Hello. Let's give it a minute. Excuse me. Let's give it a minute here to even out the stream. There we go. Welcome, welcome. We are going to go live here just in a second. We're waiting for President Trump. He is in Austin, Texas today. Yay, he's in my home state. And that is home of Joe Rogan Studios. Yes, because they are recording. I don't know if they have recorded already or he's going to record after. I would guess he's coming from the recording. But regardless, he's going to be doing remarks here just in a few minutes. So let's go over to some coverage while we wait for him. And thank you for being here.
For President Trump in 2016 to the world. And eventually I remember Drudge was linking it. That's how I found out about Right Side Broadcasting Network. Drudge linked it and I clicked it one day with my family. But it just spread like wildfire because people had never seen crowds like that. The history of a politician being able to draw 20, 30,000 people to a political rally was unheard of. And Right Side Broadcasting Network, they jumped in full force. Joe gave it everything he had, quite literally, and we relied solely on viewer donations. So that we were like that for a pretty long time. Eventually, we were able to bring in some incredible advertisers, and that's why we're so grateful to the advertisers as well, because businesses don't just support themselves. So it's the viewers, and I think the viewers mean so much to us here because quite literally, that's how I got fed. That is how I was able to have my first job out of college. It was donation based. It wasn't a typical, like, you go work for a Fortune 500 company, you get a mail check every 2 weeks. No, we would wait for a rally. We would gear up. We'd sacrifice whatever we could. If I showed you all the hotels we stayed in, it was bad. But that's kind of a snippet of some of the journeys we've gone through, and it's amazing to see how far this company's come and what can happen when you have an idea and you sacrifice for that idea. But it's really the American dream. So it's been a wild ride, and I'm very grateful to be back here 11 days before the 2024 election. I think if I wasn't here right now, I wasn't sure I'd be back, but it worked out, and now I'm like, I can't imagine not being back. Like, I need to be here right now. I've done it for 2016, 2020, 2024, and all the midterms in between. So I'm really grateful to be a part of it today.
The first time, September 3rd, 2022. My then girlfriend, who I then married, Jenna, of course. You met her as well in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton for my first rally coverage there. It was great to meet you there. And again, if you're just joining us, Liz is the one that said, Matt, you need to get a Truth Social account. And I looked and I said, you know what? You're right. Let's do it. So soon after that, I got a Truth Social account. But anyway, the point is, it's great to see you again, Liz. And to your point also, sometimes it's freelance and we're waiting for rallies and that kind of thing. And I did the same thing, 2022, 2023. There's a rally on a Thursday. Okay, go work that. And then you try and work these small jobs for, Monday to Friday, but it wouldn't work out because they'd say, well, you're missing another Thursday or another Saturday. It was just a whole mess. But now we see Right Side, it was very difficult. But to your point, though, seeing that Joe saw a need with the crowd and President Trump wasn't getting that from the national news media out there. So RSBN has turned into that conservative media, as we see here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Liz, we know President Trump will be speaking in about 23 minutes from now.
Thank you. Just a few minutes.
Can you talk to us a little bit about the southern border a little bit as well? You're about 230 miles to the north of the southern border. We know that a lot of new viewers have tuned in at this point. So can you share with us your thoughts about closing that border? That's number one for President Trump on day one. There's many things he'll do, good, positive things, as we know, but one of them is to seal that border.
That's right. That is something he has campaigned on and stood behind for many years. President Trump is the candidate where it is promises made, promises kept. We saw him campaign on this important issue in 2016, and we saw what he was able to do in those 4 years in the White House for our southern border. I've been able to visit numerous times, and I'm able to see the drastic difference in contrast between Obama's border wall and Donald Trump's border wall. I mean, that alone is just incredible. Obama's, again, is just chicken wire. It is 2 pieces of chicken wire that goes on for miles. What is that going to deter? Not even a chicken. Honestly, a chicken could get through that. Not even good, high-quality chicken wire. And then Donald Trump's, I mean, it's so magnificent. It's these massive steel beams that just go up for miles and miles and miles. So that is a really good a visual of these liberal policies and then conservative policies and which ones actually work. Unfortunately, as soon as Biden and Kamala took over, let me pull up this number really quick because they took a lot of executive actions almost immediately. Oh, man. Here it is. All right. Yeah, there we go. All right. So within the first 100 days of the Biden administration, Biden and Harris took 94 executive actions that dismantled successful America First border policies. And in the past 3.5 years, since those executive actions were stricken down, 12 million illegal aliens have crossed the southern border. Of that 12 million, 99 of them are either known or suspected terrorists. So that's what's going on at our southern border. We've got 12 million illegals who are coming in. Democrats are trying to get them to be able to vote without any type of citizenship or ID. We've got terrorists coming into our country, and there is nobody controlling or protecting American citizens. President Trump is the opposite of that. He wants to put an end to this malarkey. He wants to bring back law and order. Instead of 80,000 ICE agents, instead of 80,000 IRS agents, Donald Trump would rather spend that money and bring ICE agents to our southern border, which I, for one, would sign on day one. I also want to point out that there's some commotion over my right shoulder, so your left, but it does look like, you're fine, you're good. It does look like Ted Cruz is in the building. If we want to pan to him really quick, I know we're on a split screen, but we could talk through it. Oh, can't get a shot. He's literally swamped right now, so we will get him later, but there's a big crowd around him. Again, that's Ted Cruz, who, of course, big advocate on southern border policy. And most of these press conferences he is at, however, he was not on the press release. So it's news to all of us, but we're excited to see him today. And if we can grab him for an interview, we absolutely will.
It'll be great to see Mr. Cruz there with us live on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Now, you were talking about that number, 12 million. If you look at metropolitan New York metro area, there's about 20 million people. 12 million people. I mean, that's bigger than a number of states across the country. What are your thoughts about Colorado? Did you see that video in Aurora, Colorado, with the Venezuelan gangs with those guns walking up to those apartment buildings? What was that like to see that video that President Trump's talked about as well?
I think Colorado has become a liberal cesspool, but that does not justify what's going on there. I have seen the Aurora, Colorado videos, and I cannot fathom that that's taking place in the United States of America right now. If I were president, I would have sent in the National Guard immediately at best to just absolutely eradicate them, send them home, send them to prison, anywhere else besides a neighborhood where you should be able to raise your children safely. But no, we're going to see more of that if we continue to have an administration that has such a wide open border, because that's just the beginning. This is just what's happened after 3 years. Imagine if we get 4 more years of this. It's not just going to be Aurora, Colorado. It's not just going to be Houston, Texas. It is going to be Pennsylvania. It's going to be Georgia. It's going to be so many other states that think they're safe. And again, until something like this affects your family, you think you're safe, but you're not. Again, this has happened in 3 years. Imagine 4 more.
Exactly. And you know, the governor in Colorado, President Trump, not saying too many great things about him, of course. A gorgeous state, some great people there. You saw in Aurora the other day, saying that Colorado's Trump country, but unfortunately the leadership is awful in various parts of that state, trying to take President Trump's name off the ballot back in the day, all that. Yeah. So to your point, I mean, still a beautiful area, though. I'll tell you, we just want it to stay beautiful and stay safe and secure. Beautiful area. Yeah.
Liberal cesspool.
Yeah, exactly. So we're hoping for a lot of red to happen all across this land. Let's talk about some of President Trump's recent quotes at various campaign stops. And then I just want to hear your kind of thoughts and feelings about the country and really that we're 11 days away from this fork in the road. First, let's just do that. Let's do the 30,000-foot view. For you personally, what will it be like? As you know, we're going to go way right in a good way of better for our country, or way radically left, terrible for our country, in communist ways that maybe it's like Venezuela or maybe like Brazil or even like the UK right now. with censorship. Are you fearful? What are your thoughts right now?
Yeah, I'm fearful, and I think any and not even intellectual, but anyone that is aware of their social surroundings and what's going on should be scared a lot. I'm monitoring what I said. I haven't been on camera in a while, so I've got to make sure I'm PG-13. But you should be very scared about censorship. We saw what happened to us already. We saw what happened to Right Side Broadcasting Network. And when I tell like normies, so like non-political, non-media people, that I was stripped away from my social media accounts, that I had algorithms purposely boosting me down, when I tell them that Right Side Broadcasting Network, we would get violation after violation every single day for using the word vaccine, or for questioning its efficacy, or questioning why we are all being forced to take an experimental drug and jab it inside of us. If we were questioning the use of wearing masks and how that worked, if we were questioning our government and the election, trying to make sense of, well, where did these 10,000 ballots come from? Which you should be able to question in any country in the world. You should be able to ask those questions. But in America, we were not able to do that. Right Side Broadcasting Network, there were days we would go to stream President Trump's rallies. We would turn on, and I won't say the channel because I don't want them to hate us even more. I know we're still on thin ice. We would go to turn on to stream to millions of people, and we would just get a black box. We couldn't do anything. We would be at a rally. We would have hundreds of thousands of people depending on us to be the only feed that would live stream President Trump's rallies, and we had no way of getting it out there. It was a very scary time, and had certain actions not being taken, like Elon Musk buying Twitter, and then I guess Zuckerberg, it's not a great situation, but he has at least admitted to Congress, like, yeah, we were censoring y'all, we were throttling y'all, and we were changing our policies. So we've been able to fortunately backtrack, because in a lot of countries, once you get to that point where you lose your free speech, you don't get it back. America fought back, and we fought back hard, and we exposed some of these countries and these big tech companies, for what they were doing. And I think we won a little, but I don't think that we have nothing to worry about. If you look at Brazil, they actually had a politician there, a judge in Brazil, who banned Twitter entirely from the entire country. And if you used it every single day that you used it, even by bypassing its typical usage and using a VPN, which would register you in a different country, you would get banned at $2,500 a day for using Twitter. That is absolutely absurd, but it happened. And it is still happening because they didn't agree that Elon Musk was allowing another politician to be on his platform. So Brazil said, if you do not ban this guy from your platform, we're going to block it from our entire country. And he's like, I can't do that. I can't just block someone. He deserves free speech. He deserves to be able to talk. Brazil didn't like it, and now Brazil cannot use X. So if you think it won't happen to the United States of America, you're dead wrong.
100% accurate, Liz. The censorship that we are possibly facing in this country, again, I think even worse if there is a loss in the Republican category. And the only way I think that there would be a loss would be through a fraudulent election. If it's a free and fair election, we know that the majority of this country, common sense America, wants President Trump back. And to quote a store owner in Asheville, President Trump, we need you back. And we don't want to go down the road of Brazil, Venezuela, and even the UK right now. And let me just real quick shout out to the United Kingdom. There are a few people on the 26th of October, more than a few people, going to be standing up to some of the tyrannical moves going on out there. You could follow that story on X on the 26th. I know we've got our election here, but I'm very curious to see what it's going to be like out there. When a leftist government takes over, it's only those few people that are really trying to quiet the free world. So Liz, I know I have a few sponsors to get to, but I think this is really important. So let's talk about this a little bit more. We'll get to those sponsors in a second, but what's your message to people that are like, wait a minute, these guys are actually talking some real truth right now. We might have just lost her. Did we just lose her, guys? Okay. Yeah, we just lost her for a second. Interesting. I wonder why that happened. But let's get to that point, Liz, about yeah, we should be good. Just to that point about if someone's watching right now on X or Facebook or YouTube or Rumble, wherever, and they're saying, oh no, is this really going to happen? Liz, do you think it's really going to happen if Harris were somehow to be in office? Would it just be like, just another day in America, or is it going to go that radically left? And would we look like Venezuela, Brazil, possibly the UK?
It's not a if, but a when situation. We've already had Kamala Harris, the Biden administration, prosecute President Trump for simply being a political opponent. So imagine what they want to do to all of us who, more than just running against them in office, just don't believe in their policies and we don't want to enforce them, and we argue against them with facts, with intellect, with education. They are going to silence us again. Not if, but when. They've done it before. They will do it again. One of the biggest threats to that administration is Elon Musk. He's even actually started the America PAC, which has been a tremendous help in order to get registered voters out to vote. He's giving away $47 to anyone who, if you send a link to someone, and all you have to do, if you're a registered voter in one of the 7 swing states, and that person fills it out and puts your name as the referral, you actually get $47. And that's one of the things he was doing. He committed up to $75 million. So finally, conservatives are on the offense instead of the defense. We're playing like the liberals play. We're getting money out there. We're getting people, excited about something. And who needs anything right now more than money in this economy? So it's definitely like money talks. Then Elon Musk, I'm bypassing the fact that he bought X and they hate him for that. But he also, now he's giving away $1 million a day to anyone that's on that list of registered voters in the swing state. He's already given, I think, like 7 different families $1 million each. That's incredible. Guess what? Kamala Harris and her campaign is now trying to find a way to say that what he's doing is illegal and it has to stop. Okay, well, liberals have been doing that for years, giving millions of dollars to anyone, paying influencers tens of thousands of dollars to go to the DNC and trying to buy people's votes and support. So it's not if, but when. They will come after us for everything they can. We saw what they did to Donald Trump. Don't think that they're not going to do it to us as well.
So let's go back to the 30,000-foot view, and then we're going to go to some sponsors here, Liz. We know that President Trump, according to the senior advisor, Lynn Patton, and others, and of course he said it, basically President Trump running to be president of all of America. We're talking Republican, independent, indifferent, Democrat, whatever. There are Democrats out there that don't want to go so radically left. So there might be some Democrats that might be changing their vote right at the last second there at the ballot box. We'll see. But we know Tulsi Gabbard came over. RFK Jr., of course, was independent, now over. So let's thank some sponsors here in a second right now on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Which sponsors are we going to right now, guys? Okay. Let's go to Birch Gold Group. Text Trump to 989898 for more information on gold, silver, precious metals, a 401k, and tax-sheltered IRA. You get more information with an info kit on Birch Gold. Just text Trump to 989898 for more information on Birch Gold Group. Let's also go to the Tax Network USA. Tax Network USA, 800-357-1415 for more information on the taxes there when it comes to the tax seasons in April. If you've missed any taxes, when it comes to filing, you can call 800-357-1415 for more information. Also, let's go to Wellness Company. The Wellness Company has these awesome contagion emergency kits, medical emergency kit as well, right here. They've got a lot of these kits out there. All you do is go to makecaregreatagain.com. Use that promo code RSBN for 15% off. RSBN for 15% off. The great people over there at the Wellness Company, Make Care Great Again, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, also amoxicillin in the Z-Pack as well with makecaregreatagain.com. Use that promo code RSBN for 15% off. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3. It's 1:23 Eastern time as you're looking live there in Austin, Texas, as we get ready to go to President Trump for a speech there about border security and the migrant invasion. They're about 230 miles north of the border in Texas there. And then President Trump will head all the way up to Traverse City, Michigan, where Bobby McNeely and Ashley Brassfield will pick up our live coverage for our second part of our RSBN doubleheader today. A lot of miles traveled on Trump Force One, especially over the next 11 days. We'll be covering so many events all the way to New York City coming up on Sunday. How about Novi, Michigan, State College, Pennsylvania? I just saw another trip to Pennsylvania, Allentown. There's so many throughout the country coming up as we are literally just 11 days away from the election. In the meantime, that is Ted Cruz right there. Our media riser, obviously the media riser that we're on is a bit far back from Mr. Cruz. So obviously not being able to hear the audio from the Texas Congressman there, Senator Ted Cruz, maybe speaking in a little bit as well. As we're just going with it here on live TV. We're just flowing with it, and glad you're joining us on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's go to Liz again here, guys. Is she available? And if she's not, we can go to our interview with the Director of Media Affairs with the Trump camp, Sunny Joy Nelson. As soon as that is queued up, guys, please let me know as we roll with it on the fly live TV, which is more fun, in my opinion, than all the scripts and all the teleprompters and stuff, which are still great if you have a specific show and block and all that. But when it's live, it's live. Let's do it. All right. So 1:30, President Trump will be speaking. And what we can do is we can go to this interview. If President Trump starts speaking or any pre-program starts, we'll dip out of this recorded interview. But it was just yesterday. We didn't get to play it in full. But this is Sunny Joy Nelson with the Trump team. She is the Media Affairs Director. Here's that interview.
Me.
Definitely. So we've got this national momentum that we've talked about before, but we're actually seeing it, boots on the ground. Talk about even today on the West Coast with Arizona and Nevada.
That's right. Well, President Trump is going to 5 states over the next few days. He's absolutely crisscrossing the country, taking his message to every single voter, because every single voter needs to know that Kamala Harris broke this country. She has broken the economy. She has broken the border. President Trump is the one with the plan to fix it. So we see President Trump traveling so much. You know, I can hardly keep up with where he's going. I have to check the calendar every day to make sure I'm right about where he's going. He's traveling all over the place. But, you know, we really see him surging in the polls right now, especially in our internal polls, because the American people are done with Kamala Harris's policies and the havoc that they have caused in their lives.
Exactly. So when you see the polls, when you see the boots on the ground, it's also just personally, we see it was better under President Trump versus what we see now under Harris and Biden. And speaking of those two, their rhetoric has gone to an all new low, probably unprecedented information that they just shared over the past 48 hours.
That's exactly right. The Democrats and Kamala Harris, along with their buddies in the mainstream media, continue to use this hateful and untrue, downright lies rhetoric about President Trump. But, you know, if there's one thing we know about President Trump, he's going to rise above it. They've been attacking him for going on probably 10 years now with untrue statements, with hoaxes. They're trying to ruin his political career. We see Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's DOJ attacking their political opponent because they know that they cannot beat him at the ballot box. They have to come at him with all of these untrue accusations, with the weaponization of the Department of Justice, because they have no shot this November. President Trump's policies are going to get us back to the country that we can be. And, you know, we are in this very unique situation where both candidates have been in office before. You know, we have the luxury of living both under President Trump's leadership and then under Kamala Harris's leadership, which has resulted in ruin, especially economically. Most middle-class people cannot make it right now because of her disastrous policies. But President Trump has the policies that will restore us.
I think over the years, it's become crystal clear that President Trump is the actual people's president. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes, he definitely is. We see him going and doing all of these wonderful off the record stops that he does, like at McDonald's, how he interacts with people. You know, it's not forced. He is a man of the people. But you look at Kamala Harris when she tries and goes to do these same types of events. They're so forced. They're very awkward. She's not a likable person. President Trump is a very likable person because he can relate to the average American. He can relate to those that are suffering under Kamala Harris's hardships right now. now. President Trump truly is a man of the people because he has the policies that can get us back to where we need to be, to economic prosperity, to world peace. He can get us to, a flourishing country that we once were, but we are not anymore because Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have completely devastated our country with their far left, crazy, radical policies. And Kamala Harris is not going to change a single thing. She continues to double down on this stance that there's nothing she would change about the last 3.5, 4 years. That is not a winning strategy because the people of our great country cannot take 4 more years of Kamala Harris.
And if you're just joining us, this is Sunny Joy Nelson, the director of media affairs with the Trump camp. Sunny, can you talk to us about Nevada and Arizona today, specifically Arizona? We know President Trump has been to Cochise County along the southern border. So many things to take care of once he becomes the 47th commander in chief. Can you run through a few things that he would do for this country and to close that border?
Yes, well, I would expect that we can hear President Trump talking about border security at these stops that he's doing today and tomorrow. The border is wide open thanks to Kamala Harris's policies. President Trump has promised mass deportation once he gets back into office because he values the safety of American citizens above the well-being of Venezuelan gangs that are coming into our country and taking over apartment buildings. While Kamala Harris and the Democrats continue to put their needs above tax-paying, hardworking American citizens, President Trump is the opposite of that. Under his presidency, we had a secure border. We were a sovereign country. It was America first. Under Kamala Harris, it is not America first. It is America last. And so President Trump, I think, will be talking about that. He'll be talking about securing the border, creating safe communities for us once again. He'll talk about stopping the influx of drugs and migrant crime that's pouring into our country. So we're expecting a great couple of events these next few days with President Trump. I encourage, of course, everyone's going to be watching here on this network, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome to see. And let's take a 30,000-foot view, no pun intended, on this next question. But in general, it seems like Trump Force One has thousands of miles of airtime. He's traveling all the way then to New York later on the weekend, Pennsylvania, Michigan, all over the place. It's got to be awesome just in general, even to be a part of the Trump camp or the Trump team, just being a part of this historic moment. So you can talk to us a little bit about just even you being a part of it. I mean, this is a very historic time in our country.
That is very true. And I am very blessed to be a part of this team and be working towards another presidency for President Trump. He is continuing to travel all across the country. He's hitting all the very key battleground states, but he is going to New York. As you just mentioned, this Sunday is going to be a huge rally at Madison Square Garden. I am very much looking forward to that because he's taking his message of peace and prosperity to every single voter, even those in blue states. Those voters deserve a chance to make their voices heard. They do not have to vote with the Democrats just because their state has historically gone that way. The Democratic policies are leaving people in the dust. They are not uplifting them, which is what President Trump wants to do. But yes, he is so busy going to all of these states because that's who he is. He goes, he has, it seems like, an unlimited amount of energy to go to all of these states to deliver his message. But you contrast that with Kamala Harris, who, can't even do an interview, more than once a week. With how many interviews President Trump has done. He has done so many interviews, press gaggles. He takes hard questions because he wants his message to get directly to the American voter. Kamala Harris can't do that. She can't handle even the friendliest of media towards her. We saw last night on her town hall with CNN. She crashed and burned on her town hall with CNN. She ran to the left. Her campaign is really spiraling out of control. The wheels are falling off because the American people know that she does not have the policies to get us back to where we need to be.
100%. One more question for you. This is probably more of a question for the president, but I want to ask you this one. What do you believe is driving President Trump personally to really do what he's doing and what he's done since day one in 2015?
That's right. I would say that is more of a question for the president himself because truly only he knows. But I think really it's his love of country and the fact that he wants to uplift every single American, no matter your background, no matter if you are a Democrat, if you're an independent, Republican, whatever it may be, if you're middle class, if you're upper class, lower class, President Trump wants to uplift you. And we saw that under his presidency. His policies uplifted every single person. Whether you voted for him or you didn't, his policies uplifted you. I think he knows the potential that we have as a country. I think he truly loves our country, and he doesn't want to see us taken advantage of on the world stage anymore. You know, America is the greatest country on earth, and that's something that we really need to highlight, and we can be even greater with his leadership, which will happen come this November.
Amen. Sonny Joy Nelson, thank you so much for once again joining us here at RSBN.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so that was the Director of Media Affairs with the Trump camp, Sonny Joy Nelson. Let's go now live to Austin, Texas, where RSBN's Liz Willis is live there as we await President Trump to talk about border security, the southern border, only about 230 miles north of the border right there in Austin, Texas. So we'll be going out there very shortly. It's 1:34 Eastern time. So thanks so much for tuning in here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. A little bit later today in Traverse City, Michigan, Bobby McNeely and Ashley Brassfield will be live there. On top of that, it's at an airport, that event. So guess what? That means Trump Force One will be getting a sighting, most likely, maybe a flyover of the great Trump Force One. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Let's go now to Liz Willis.
Oh, thank you. All right, hi everyone, welcome back. I have a very special guest with me that I'm excited to interview. We've got Art, who amongst Vice President and National Spokesperson for the National Border Patrol Council. Perfect. If I butchered it, fix it, but I'll let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do.
So yeah, I'm one of the Vice Presidents of the National Border Patrol Council. I'm actually stationed out of Arizona. But, you know, we've been following President Trump throughout different areas, different rallies, and we've endorsed him. We officially endorsed him a couple of weeks ago down in Arizona. We had a big event down there. And I think it's important because, look, a lot of the things that they get lost in the media or some candidates say certain things. I know that there was a certain time that President Biden said that he had the full support of the Border Patrol agents. That it drove us nuts. I immediately jumped on Twitter and said, "Hey,
saw someone on Twitter say no."
I was on it quick. Because I was like, there's no way this guy's going to take credit for something like that. And then just recently, Kamala Harris, she did state that she was responsible for a raise for Border Patrol agents. So at that point, we said, look, there's no telling how far they're going to start saying different things and having some lies. So it was important for us to immediately go out there, do the endorsement. And that's why we're here. We're here in a show of support. And we're trying to make sure we're at the different areas where he's having the rallies because people need to know the truth. And some people may even criticize and say, well, why is he in Austin? Why isn't he closer to the border? Look, he's running for president of the United States. And this state is important, just like all the other states are. And he happens to be here for something else. And I think that's an all-telling sign. He says, hey, this is not on my schedule, but it's important that I go out there. It's important that I speak to the people. And that's why he's out here. And I think that's very important that we're here.
I agree. And I'm glad you're here, too. Now, can you tell us a little bit more about the National Border Patrol Council? Who is it made up of? What is your mission?
So it's bargaining unit members. It's members that are it's agents. We do have some individuals that work within the fleet and others that work within radio. And basically, it's to make sure that their rights are not violated. Make sure that if they get into any type of trouble, they have the proper coverage provided to them. But at the same time, we serve a separate purpose. We're the actual voice of the agents, right? So we're the voice of the voiceless, as I like to say. I'm very proud that I've been doing this for quite some time because there's a lot of frustration amongst the agents, and that's why we're here. We're here to be able to spread the word, and as I've always said, agents' voices must be heard.
I agree. Now, something that I'm seeing in the media on my side is Kamala, it looks like she's trying to take a lot of the accolades from what President Trump has done with his border policies, and she's now trying to mimic them, pretend like they were hers all along. But we know that she's only gone to the border 2 times since becoming the Vice President of the United States, once in 2021 and once in 2024. Who do you think is responsible for securing our southern border, and who do you think has been damaging it?
So we need the right policies first and foremost to get them done right. We got to remember that under President Trump, the laws, immigration laws didn't change, but he knew what policies to put in place. And what was the reason for that? He kept in contact with members of the National Border Patrol Council, and he asked, hey, what do we need to do? We've never had any communication with the current administration. At the beginning, some of the leadership went and said, look, this is what you need to do. You need to just maintain the proper policies, maintain what you're doing. They completely ignored that. They walked away from all the policies that were working. They created this mess. That's why it's funny. So they created the mess, then they turn around and now they're saying, hey, we can fix it. Well, you're going to use the same game plan from the individual that fix it. I think what needs to be done is those individuals need to move out of the way and allow the person that knows how to fix it. And that would be President Trump.
What does it look like as a Border Patrol agent right now? What are they seeing on the ground? We're not getting the videos that we got a few months ago of the 10,000 crossings a day. It looks like the administration's really trying to keep that hush-hush. Is that still happening? Are there still crimes going on? We've heard about girls being raped and murdered and finding lifeless bodies on the border, but what are y'all seeing as an agent?
So it's frustrating because fortunately we're in Texas right now, and the governor of Texas has been very open, and he's allowed the media, he's allowed other law enforcement to be in those areas of the border so you can see what's happening. I'm out there in Arizona, and I can tell you the area that I'm very familiar with is the Tohono O'odham reservation, which is a Native American reservation, which is 61 plus linear miles with the Mexican border. While you were seeing the groups that are coming across in Texas of the 300, 400, they were seeing groups of thousands coming over there. But the media is not able to go out there. They haven't been seeing it. Obviously, the governor out there has not been as accessible to see it. But Arizona is the mecca for the Sinaloa cartel. That's where the majority of groups are coming across. That's where the methamphetamines, the heroin, and the fentanyl is coming into the United States. And at one point during the Obama administration, I'm taking you far back, but it's the same, game plan with the current administration. Arizona, in that particular spot, when they were keeping track of what was coming in, was responsible for over 45% of all the drugs that were entering into the United States.
The Biden administration, they like to paint this picture where an open border is for love, it's unifying, it's peaceful. What is the reality of what an open border will look like for the safety of Americans?
Well, the reality on an open border is the people that are controlling the border is the drug cartels. So if individuals are coming into the United States and they want to ask for asylum, they're being prevented by the cartels themselves from going through the ports of entries or a consulate office and doing it correctly. The cartels control everything, and they say, you're going to go through us. They want to get their money. It's almost like a toll booth. They get paid. They're the ones that control where the groups are going. And at the same time, they're using these individuals and putting larger groups in one areas of the border because they know they can utilize that as a distraction for law enforcement, all the while crossing drugs in another area while agents are, having to do the processing and transport with the illegal alien traffic.
Basically, the media is being manipulated. We're not seeing what's really going on. Do you think that the statistics are true? Do you think that there have been 12 million illegal crossings in the past 3.5 years and 99 known suspected terrorists that have come across our border since the Biden administration has taken over?
I hate to be one of those fearmonger conspiracy theories, but I'm telling you, I grew up on the border. I was raised on the border. I've lived on the border my whole life, and I've seen it. And I'm going to tell you right now, that is just an estimate. And I think it's a lowball figure because there's no way to actually know how many people have gotten away. And there was just a recent report that a lot of the cameras that get that information have been down for several months. So that's another avenue of we don't know. And I think that's where the big problem is. We do not know how many individuals have entered illegally into the United States.
What do you think, what policy, if you were to be able to write one, I know it's lengthy, but if you were able to help advise or anything, what do you think would help what's going on at our southern border? Is it finish building the wall? Is it hire more ICE agents? What can be done to help at this point?
It's yes, right? I think right now with policies, and you got to remember, when President Trump took over, he lowered those numbers with rhetoric alone. He didn't change immigration laws. He didn't really move any policies right off the bat, but with his rhetoric, the numbers came down. If you start detaining these individuals and stop releasing them, you got to end catch and release. That's big. The minute you stop releasing them, the incentive to just come across, ask for asylum, and get released ends. And when you do that, you will have the agents available to work in areas of the field so they can stop the fentanyl, the heroin, the meth, and the sex trafficking and the abandoning of so many children on our nation's borders.
I feel like you've probably already said it, but if we were to just summarize and you had a message to give to the American people, anyone at home that is still undecided whether they live in a border town or not. What would you say to the American people?
I would have to tell them, look at the last 4 years of the current administration, compare it to the 4 years of the Trump administration. It's a no-brainer. Moving forward, I'm telling you from someone that's on the border every single day, we will not survive as a nation if we have 4 more years of what we've had right now. It's the future of our kids, our grandchildren. We won't survive as a nation. And this election is not about a win, just about a win for Donald Trump. It's a win for the American public. So do yourself a favor. Vote for Trump. Vote for America. Vote for yourself.
Thank you so much, Art. Keep up the great work. We'll see you around. All right. Thank you. All right. I am going to let our cameraman actually pan this crowd. They got excited. I know they were hearing some noise outside, and I'm going to head back up on the podium. So I will be right back. Bearing with me while I gracefully climb back up onto the media risers. What an incredible interview, though. I love being able to jump down with some of these people and talk to them, especially an expert in what we're talking about here today. That was Art. And for those who missed the intro, he was the vice president and the national spokesperson for the National Border Patrol Council. So incredible man, and what he's doing takes a lot of courage. It's really great to finally meet him. I want to give a quick shout out to our partners over at Birch Gold. We all know there's a lot at stake this November. Regardless of who wins, the fuse on your economy has already been lit. Even 4 years of a conservative presidency will not be enough to turn the tide on our $35 trillion national debt. And if the left wins, it's like throwing gas on a dumpster fire. You don't have much control over the election's outcome, but what you can do right now is to protect your savings by diversifying into gold with the help of Birch Gold Group. For millennia, gold has stood firm in the face of greedy governments, economic upheavals, and global strife, and it can protect your IRA or 401k now. To see how, get a free info kit on gold by texting the word Trump to 989898. Plus, when you make a purchase from Birch Gold by Election Day, you will get a free Trump Silver Fight coin. These one-of-a-kind coins honor a significant moment in history. The design caught the attention of President Trump, who immediately got one for himself. Now you can have one just like Trump. Go ahead and take this easy step into securing your future financially. Protect your savings and get your free Trump Silver coins. Text Trump to 989898. That's a text Trump to 989898. All right, everyone, thank you for tuning in. It is 12:45 Central Time. We are live with Right Side Broadcasting Network in Austin, Texas. My name's Liz Willis. I'm hosting today alongside my co-host Matthew back at headquarters, where we're completely live. Everything you see is happening right now. And we are moments away from President Trump taking the stage right behind me. President Trump has a busy day today. This is the Joe Rogan interview day. I don't know how long Joe Rogan's going to take. Is it going to be live? Is it going to be edited and sent out? Those are things I need to Google, but I can't wait to listen to it. Maybe I'll be able to listen to it on my flight to New York City later today. I will be heading to New York to Madison Square Garden. I'm going with about a dozen of some of my best friends, and they are all shocker. I like to surround myself with like-minded individuals, but they are all in the conservative movement, and we're going to go have an incredible weekend celebrating America and our love for country and our support for President Trump. So after today, I'm getting on a flight, going to New York. Next, you'll see me at Madison Square Garden. I'll post as much about it as I can, but I'm really excited. That will actually be my first rally as a non-media person, non-journalist. So I'm just going for fun. I know Right Side Broadcasting Network will be there as well. They'll be live streaming the entire event. So let it be your go-to source for MSG Madison Square Garden Trump rally. Going to be massive in the middle of New York City. I haven't been able to really turn my back yet to see everything that's going on. So if you'll do that with me, I'm going to turn around. We're going to pan, look around a little bit at the audience, see if we see any familiar faces, and we'll come right back. All right, it looks like we can identify where he's going to enter because everyone and Secret Service is over here on the right side of the camera. We did see Senator Ted Cruz in the building earlier today. I don't have eyes on him right now. If we do, we'll go back. But I also saw Brandon Gill, who is running for Congress, and he is married to Danielle Gill, who's the daughter of Dinesh D'Souza. And I'm excited. There he is. I think he's like second row, but hopefully he does. I see Ted Cruz as well. All right, Ted is we'll slowly make our way, but Ted is front and center. And then you can see Brandon a little bit to his left, but two phenomenal guys that are running for office in Texas. And I hope that they absolutely crush their opponents, because we would be lucky to have them representing us. I think those are the two faces I have. If anyone recognizes anyone else, let us know. But again, we are just waiting for President Trump to come in here any minute. It's now 12:48. President Trump was scheduled to take the stage at 12:30 p.m.
Helps
So
if I
truly,
unmute
now the
myself.
audience looks like they've got their phones
Welcome,
out.
welcome. Just
They
wanted to
are
remind
ready
everybody,
to
if you're new
record.
here, I will turn down the music when President Trump comes out. Do not adjust your volume, because I will crank it up as soon as he starts speaking and probably scare the
Ready to
crap
see
out
him.
of you.
I've heard that the
So
remarks today are going
anyway,
to be
welcome.
absolute fire.
Thank you
They're
for
going to be
joining us,
pretty concise,
especially
to
if
the
you're on
point, and it's going to
APN
hit some
X.
heavy
If you
truths
would go for the
home
Freedom of
about
America
what's going on. We've actually got
1776
mugshots,
on
which I
either
didn't notice
either
earlier. And they're
or
going to be hard
and
to see on camera until
YouTube,
people sit
Twitch,
down. But
and
they've
Rumble,
got illegal
and
immigrant
give
from
us a follow.
Mexico,
We're trying to grow
and
our
it's got his
amazing
name,
group of
and then
patriots
oh
over
wow, you
there
can see
as
the
well.
charges underneath.
Thank
All I
you,
can see is the
and
word rape.
let's watch
I
and
love
wait
this. This
for
is
our
how
president.
criminals should be exposed. Like you dirty, filthy animal. So then the next one says illegal immigrant from Venezuela. It's got the date and where it happened. And then we'll eventually be able to see below another one from Mexico, another one from Venezuela. So that'll be interesting to see. Yeah, President Trump is not holding back today. He's going to hit hard on the southern border. And I've heard it's going to be a fire speech. So I hope you're all tuning in. This is a really important topic. The southern border actually polls that with 70% of Americans, it is an important topic. Excuse me, I said that backwards. But the southern border being an important topic to 70% of voters. That alone should say that 70% of people should vote for Donald Trump, because Kamala Harris has done an absolute crap job at being the border czar. I, a lone journalist, have been to the border more times than Kamala in the past 4 years, astronomically more. So if you want a president that is going to secure our southern border, stop these cartels from running it, stop the drugs and the weapons from illegally entering our countries and our communities and the known terrorists, then get out and vote. Early voting has started in a number of states. It has started in the great state of Georgia. Georgia actually had over 3.1 million early voters yesterday, and that is on track to shatter every single early voting record that the state has ever seen. If you ask me, it's because people are excited to get out and vote for Donald Trump. They miss him. They've seen what a Biden administration looks like, really an Obama administration. It's been Obama, now it's Biden, now it's Kamala. It has been so many years of just pure hell rippling down on the American people, and we've had enough. So I think America is excited to vote for Donald Trump. I know it. On my Twitter alone, I've been reposting anybody that tags or comments with a picture of their I voted selfie. So if you want to join in on that fun, you can go to my Twitter. It's at LizWillis_, and you'll see the post where it says, put your selfie here. All of those are getting reposted. I want this community, anyone that's out voting, any type of encouragement we can give each other. I'd love to be a part of it. But even if it's not through social media, wear your sticker loud and proud. Make sure people see it, because not everyone is sitting down in the middle of a weekday watching Donald Trump speak. Some people might forget, like, oh, I need to go vote. Oh, early voting's happening now. A lot of people don't know. You'd be shocked. And just wearing your sticker or just posting on your Facebook, and you might be the reason 1, 5, 10 people get out and vote. And that is what's going to change elections. So get out. Early voting's great. We've got till November 1st in the state of Georgia. And then you can also vote on election day. But if you can get out and vote early, I encourage you to do that. All right, let me pull up the press release really quick, and I'll share with you a little bit about what Donald Trump is planning to talk about here today. Again, we are live in Austin, Texas, and President Trump will deliver remarks to the press on border security and migrant crime in Austin. Now, more illegal immigrants have been encountered at our nation's borders under Harris and Biden than all two-term presidents. Despite their empty promises of a fair and humane immigration system, Harris's open border policies are far from compassionate. They are lethal. Texas has seen the consequences firsthand. This year alone, a Salvadoran MS-13 gang member was arrested for drunk driving in Houston. The violent Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, took over a Texas hotel. A Guatemalan illegal immigrant was accused of tossing her newborn into a dumpster. A San Antonio police officer was shot by an illegal Venezuelan immigrant, and a 12-year-old girl in Houston was brutally shackled, sexually assaulted, and strangled to death by two illegal immigrants. Kamala's border bloodbath is putting Texas families in danger and exposing every American to the risks of her dangerous policies. The only leader who will secure our borders and put Americans first is President Donald J. Trump. The stakes have never been higher. So with that being said, Donald Trump is scheduled to speak any minute now, and that is some of the topics he's going to talk about. We've got the crowd lined up right here. Again, this is a private event, so really a press conference, but there are some seats, and from what I've talked, it's people that have worked with him some in the past, whether it's with local school boards or local politicians or people that have been volunteering with the campaign. So it's a closed event, but a very important one. There's almost nothing more important than making sure the safety of our citizens is prioritized, and that starts with securing our southern border. President Trump has a massively packed schedule today, and our friend Art with the National Border Patrol Council actually made a good point to say how meaningful it was that despite having such a busy day, President Trump took time today to fit this in, because mind you, he's not coming here for this press conference. He's coming here to do a podcast with Joe Rogan. And as easier as it would be just to stop, get off the plane, go do the podcast, hop back on, go to his rally later this evening, he's like, no, like, let me stop and do an entire press conference on crime and illegal immigration. So he's really getting, like, I've never seen a candidate like this. This man has so much energy. I think it was Vivek Ramaswamy who posted yesterday, I think it was Instagram. He said, the one thing I admire more than anything about this man is just his raw energy. He's never seen anything like it. And that's something that I've taken with me since 2015, 2016, 2020. This man has so much energy. I don't know where he gets it from. I guess it's those Diet Cokes. I need to start drinking them. But he's able to hit multiple campaign stops in the same day. And we are still 11 days out. Now, just last night, he had a massive event. And that was with Turning Point Action, which was just a day after his massive event with Turning Point Action in outside of Atlanta, Georgia. So this man has been working like crazy to get out and get to some of these swing states. We've got Nevada, we've got Georgia. I know there's a lot going on in Pennsylvania. We've got Michigan. And then today we've got Texas. So if you want to take notes on how to run a campaign, I would follow this one pretty closely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, to recap, for those who are just now joining us, it's 12:56. We are Central Time, so that's 1:56 Eastern, and we are waiting for President Trump to enter the building any minute now. He is going to do a press conference today on the importance of our southern border and securing that. I'm sure Kamala will be watching and listening, so shout out to them and her team, because I know that that's where they like to copy their policies from anyways. So maybe she'll get some talking points from this. But regardless, I would like for her to listen, and maybe she'll learn a few things. This is how a true leader gets it done. And again, President Trump has the support and the endorsement from the entire National Border Patrol Council Union. Even though Biden tried to say he had it, which I do remember the day that happened, and then the union actually got on Twitter, and they're like, that is false. We never endorsed you. Pretty embarrassing, but not surprising for a man with dementia. Honestly, at best case, it's dementia. Worst case, I don't know what it is. I don't know what's wrong. But I guess we get to worry about Kamala now. So even though he's perfectly fit to run for office. All right, my guess. Let's get some guesses going. I think he will walk in at 1 Central. Miles, do you have a guess? 105. All right. Oh, we've got eyes on it. I wish I'd open it up. I miss seeing Trump Force One, that beautiful plane landing. Have you seen that recently? Lucky. I haven't seen it recently, but hopefully soon at one of these rallies. Normally hangar rallies, you can see it like coming down, landing, taxiing, and him stepping off. But I do see security near that door, so it should be any minute now. He was scheduled to take the stage at 12:30. So running a little bit late, but not a problem at all. In fact, more people were able to kind of get in. I was able to do some interviews. So kind of glad that he's late because I was able to talk to Art and bring that interview to you guys. Ooh, gorgeous. Did you take that from right here? Oh. I'm looking at a video right now. My cameraman's showing me of Trump Force One taking off at another airport, and it looks stunning. So, a very regal plane. I know RSBN will be at the rally later this evening. I know everyone is so busy right now that I don't even know where my whole where my family's at. And then the cameraman was telling me, like, your brother's in Michigan. I was like, oh, okay, good to know. I didn't know that. But it's funny. We're all over the place, and Right Side Broadcasting Network has just been doing everything they can to get to every single Trump event possible. So if you would consider donating to Right Side Broadcasting Network, we would really appreciate it. You can do that by going to rsbnetwork.com/donate. Again, that's rsbnetwork.com/donate. We've got some good rally music going on here. I'm going to jump on here and go over some more information that I've gotten to just today alone. I've actually read this morning that both candidates, Kamala and Donald Trump, are coming to Texas today to campaign. Donald Trump is going to be talking about the border, and then he's going on Joe Rogan. And then in contrast, Kamala will be, I guess, meeting with Beyonce is what I read. I don't know why, but that just that fits her so well. All right, let's read this. This is from ABC News, so bear with me and don't hate me for what it says. I did not write it. Harris's trip comes as immigration is a top issue for many voters ahead of the election. A recent ABC News Ipsos poll found that 70% viewed immigration at the southern border as an important issue for them. Trump led Harris by 10 points on who voters thought would be best suited to handle it. In 2021, President Joe Biden tasked Harris with the likely doomed from the start assignment of solving the root causes of migration amid surges of migrants arriving at the southern border. Republicans have used this to label Harris the border czar, though her task did not involve U.S. policy at the border itself. All right, 1 second. I'm going to answer a question, so I'll be right back.
Don't adjust your volume. They turned it down. They'll turn it back on here in a second. And then as soon as Trump comes up and they play his song, I will also be turning the volume down now. Thank you.
I know things are down to the wire. Of course, if we are doing an interview, that's going to stop as soon as Donald Trump comes. But if she's able to come over before then, we're happy to get down and ask her a few questions. So So we'll see. We're going to wait and see how quick she can get over here. All right, everybody. I know we're down to the wire. President Trump is coming today. He should be here absolutely in a minute now. Miles might be right with that 1:05 prediction. Donald Trump is scheduled to take the stage. He should be walking through those doors absolutely any minute now. We're excited. He's going to be talking about the southern border and the crisis at the southern border today. While he's doing this conference, Kamala's going to be getting ready to hang out with Beyonce. So who do you want in the Oval Office? You don't even have to answer it. I already know. We have over 12 million illegal immigrants who have come across our border just in the past 3.5 years alone. Of that 12 million, 99 of those are suspected terrorists. I'm going to jump down and grab a quick interview, and I will be right back. Thank you for joining us. Again, we're moments away from President Trump walking in. So if that happens, we'll have to cut to him. But I want to try and get to know Dawn as much as possible before that happens. I got a brief update on you, and it looks like we have a lot to talk about. You're going through a lot with purchasing a property and seeing a lot of activity down there from illegals. But first, I'll let you introduce yourself, your name, what you do, and where you're from.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Dawn Buckingham, Texas Land Commissioner. I'm one of the statewide elected officials in Texas, formerly a practicing surgeon, and I love what I do.
That's mind-blowing. Any of those alone would be like a full-time job and a huge honor to be, but both of them together, you're incredible already. Well, what type of surgery did you work in?
So I was an oculoplastic surgeon, which meant I specialized in tumors around the eye, eyelid problems, malpositions, tear drainage problems, things like that.
So she's brilliant. We will, but we'll jump into the Texas situation because that's what we're here to do today. So tell me about your work as commissioner. What inspired you to get involved in that, to go through the process of getting elected, and how it's going now?
Well, the General Land Office, most people don't realize, we're the last remaining entity of the Republic of Texas that was founded for our government. And when we were founded to be the keepers of maps, the guardians of Texas history, and the steward of 13 million acres. I'm the largest mineral owner in the state, which funds education to the tune of about $2 billion a year. Plus, we do everything coast, big disaster recovery, a lot of our veterans benefits, and we have this little $550 million project going at the Alamo.
That's a lot. That literally sounds like something like a president would need to be responsible for, but you get to do that. What is the biggest challenge that you've gone through with being a commissioner?
You know, I love my job every day, and it appeals to my attention deficit disorder because we have so many different things we're doing. But honestly, one of my biggest challenges is just getting the truth out about both the economic challenges that we're facing, the fact that this administration is trying to shut down oil and gas. We unapologetically defend oil and gas. We're leading the fight on, I think, 9 endangered species fights. We're suing the Biden administration, or I should say the Harris administration, over their moratorium against natural gas exports. We're doing all these kind of things because inexpensive, reliable energy is really what separates out a first from a third world country. And as people see their inflation happening and their groceries getting so expensive, so much of that is related to the increased cost of oil and gas because of the decreased production. And so we're just getting that message out to all of our American families. Hey, you are worse off today than you were 4 years ago, and you need to vote for those economic policies that are going to bring prosperity to your family.
I think we all know we're worse off, but what's hard to understand is, like, how did this happen? How did we get here? And we don't necessarily see why it's happening. But when we talk to people like you, you're able to paint the picture that, like, look what's happening. We're no longer taking our oil and gas from the United States. We're having to outsource it and import it from other countries. We're paying more for that. We're paying the import goods when we could be getting it from our own land cleanly. So a lot of liberals, I guess, a lot of people in general, they think that if you're able to open up some of this oil, the pipelines, and just drilling in our own country, or even fracking if you're up in Pennsylvania, that it's going to cause these disastrous events for our planet. What do you think about that? Do you think that that's going to be an issue? Or I've also heard the counter argument to that is that the United States actually drills oil better than any other country in the world. So Is there truth to that?
You know, oil and gas bring the innovations that make it actually a pretty clean energy source. With the new hydrogen technologies coming out, we're starting to think about cleaving those hydrogens off of the hydrocarbon, precipitating out the carbon, which is really just graphite or diamonds if you compress it enough, burning those hydrogens. So people also don't realize that hydrocarbons are literally part of everything you interact with. It's the chairs people are sitting in. It's the makeup we put on our faces. It's the tires we drive on. It's so many things. Such an important component. And so we need to produce it cleanly and with respect to the environment. We've done a pretty good job at that. And then you contrast that with, let's just pick solar. You know, Texas produced the most, quote, green energy as a percentage of our grid from anywhere in the world. And when you get to solar panels, they break when you have a big hailstorm, and they leach those toxic chemicals down into the ground, contaminating the groundwater. Not to mention those rare earth minerals, when they're mined, basically create a Superfund site wherever they're mined. Right now, they're all under China's control. They have no environmental protections whatsoever. So what they are doing to that environment, the carbon they're producing, we couldn't balance that if we tried. But we're doing great things here, and we believe in oil and gas and be realistic and honest about the different energy forms.
I really appreciate your insight. I remember, I think it was Texas. There's a big ice storm, and they had a lot of not solar, but like windmills. I think that were like they were using it for a lot of energy, and they all froze because they got frozen, and so they actually had to bring in like oil and gas in order to unfreeze that. And it was there's a picture of it. It was like you finally get to see just how silly it is that we're trying to find all these other resources to use when we've got our very own right under our feet.
You're exactly right. The other unique thing about Texas, on the reverse, on the heat, we peak in August when it's really hot. Unlike most states, they peak in the winter when it's really cold. And the wind doesn't blow in Texas when it's really hot. So then wind shuts down and exacerbates our grid issues. We've also had a couple coal plants go offline in the last 10 years. Ironically, that fly ash, or that ash from burning coal, is used to strengthen concrete. And so now we're seeing this concrete isn't as strong as it used to be. And we're realizing actually we've got to burn some coal to get that concrete strength up as well.
I never thought about that. That's crazy, but thank you for sharing. Now, your friend came over earlier, and I got like a 5-second brief on you, and I heard every other word. But I heard that y'all were closing on some new land, some new property, and there's like an influx of migrants around that area. Did I get any of those words right?
You know, we're closing actually on several pieces of property right now. Some strategic for the border wall, some strategic for the trees that are allegedly where children are being raped under them, being sure that we stop that. Some strategically for energy resources and getting our companies carbon neutral to meet the federal standards by 2030. We actually just completed the largest core space carbon sequestration lease in 1.2 million acres, helping our companies again meet those federal standards. So we're doing a lot of different things all across the state.
And regarding today's event with President Trump, he's going to be speaking a lot on the southern border. It's not necessarily y'all's wheelhouse, but it is a border state. So what has your experience been with illegal immigration to the state of Texas?
So the General Land Office actually built the first section of the border wall about 30 years ago. One of the things we do are flood mitigation projects, and the valley actually floods really badly. It's one of the high traffic areas, so they needed a big levee, and we just put a 30-foot wall on top of it. So where there's a will, there's a way. But we are seeing this mass migration. We are seeing a huge shift of military-age young men. They come across armed. We are seeing where the numbers are not accurate at all what the feds are reporting. I actually have hundreds of thousands of acres on the border for state lands. And what we see on our game cameras tells me that it's way more than the 2-ish million that have been coming across every year. And it was literally the Biden and Harris administration's decisions in the first 12 hours of their administration where they completely reversed they completely reversed all of Trump's policies, and immediately we saw a 4-time increase in the migrants across the border.
Absolutely awful. Well, I think you're a superwoman, actually. After this interview, I'm speechless by the amount of work you do and your knowledge. Is there somewhere that myself and our viewers can follow you online to keep up with some of your work?
Sure, it's General Land Office. Of course, we have all that there. I tweet at Dr. Buckingham TX, and we're happy to serve America and Texas.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to meet you. Enjoy President Trump. All right, you guys. what an incredible interview. I feel like I've had no accomplishments in my life after talking to her, but an incredible woman and brilliant at that. So hopefully you'll follow along with her. I know I'm going to. And again, it's 1:12 right now. So President Trump should be here any minute. I know I say that. I really mean it this time. I'm going to hop back on the media risers because I don't think I have another interview. I don't think I have time for another interview. So we're going to pan back over so I can do this like a lady off camera. Wait, I might have one more interview. Stand by. All right, you guys. While we wait for President Trump, now if he shows up, I got to cut. So we're going to try and get it good. Perfect. But I've got my good friend Brandon Gill with me. I mentioned him earlier today. I saw you in the crowd. Yep. I was like, that's my friend. I want to interview him. Glad you came over. Yeah. You had a race. You were running for Congress and you beat your opponent. How's it looking now? How are things going for you here in Texas?
It is looking really, really good, not only in Texas 26, but the rest of the state. I mean, this is Trump country. It is amazing to me that Kamala Harris would even come down to Texas. There's no way. Nobody wants what she's selling, not just in Texas, and I really think in the rest of the country. But
no, I heard today that she's coming to Texas to meet with Beyonce. I'm like, that's a perfect comparison. President Trump is here to talk about the southern border. Right. He's also going to go on Rogan. And then he's got a massive rally later today. But Kamala's coming to hang out with Beyonce. Like, okay, cool.
That's exactly right. I mean, whenever you look at the contrast between the two, it couldn't be more clear. We had a secure border under President Trump. The Harris administration, it's been a disaster. We had a great booming economy under President Trump. Under Kamala Harris, prices are up 20%, real wages are down 4%, in an environment when interest rates are going up long term. You know, every single metric, the country has gotten worse under the Harris-Biden administration. People want President Trump back in office, and that's why, by the way, President Trump is going on every single conservative news show, He's going on every podcast. He's going on conservative ones. He's going on hostile ones because he knows that the American people want what he's got. Kamala Harris will not go anywhere where she's not wanted.
Brandon, before I'm listening to that, but I'm also listening to you. I want to make sure we get this before it's too late.
Yep.
Tell us about where you're running and how our audience can follow along with your journey. I am so hopeful that you win this election. I think you're going to, from what I've seen. I think you've got it easy, but I want our audience to follow along because you're an incredible man and we haven't even touched on that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. We're in Texas 26. So this is just north of Dallas. This is Dr. Burgess' seat. He's retiring. We had a primary earlier this year. I had 10 opponents. We were able to win thanks to President Trump and Senator Cruz.
You had that endorsement.
Exactly right. We were able to win with 58% of the vote in an 11-person race. So now we've got a general election in about 10 days. Feeling really, really good. Like I said, Texas 26 is Trump country. They want what the Republican Party has right now, and we're feeling great.
And what policies would you stand behind of President Trump's? Would you mimic a lot of his America First policies? Is that kind of the way you're leaning politically?
The short answer is absolutely. You know, the amazing thing about President Trump is he was first on so many of the things that we talk about every day now. Remember in 2015 and 2016, President Trump was the first person to say, we need to be building a wall to secure the southern border. Everybody, even some people, unfortunately, in our own party called him racist for it. And yet he had the courage to keep saying it. We need to secure our border. So listen, now he's on the forefront right now saying we've got to deport the illegal aliens that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris brought into this country. I'll be his biggest ally in Congress.
I really, truly believe that. You've done an incredible job. Your entire family is beautiful. He's got a beautiful baby girl at home, Marigold. Love seeing those updates from you. I hope you win. If there's anything we can do to help, please let me know. How can our audience follow along? And then I'll let you go. How can they follow along with you? Twitter, Social Truth, donations?
We're on every social media site. You can go to Brandon Gill for Congress. You can contribute to the campaign there. You can see our platform. You can go to Twitter, at Real Brandon Gill, and you can follow me there. Thank you, Liz. Appreciate it.
All right. Looks like we got another interview. And Brandon is an incredible person. He's, before even running for Congress, has been nothing but an absolute gentleman and kind man. So I truly wish him the absolute best.
Our
Everyone,
president
thank you
has
for tuning in. It
arrived.
looks like we've got the
Leighton in
motorcade pulling
style.
up
Love
right
it.
now.
Thank you for
Moments, not even
joining
minutes
us.
away from President
And
Trump stepping out
again,
and
please
joining
give
us
us
here
a
today. You are
subscription,
watching Right
follow,
Side Broadcasting
whatever
Network. I
on
am Liz
Freedom of
Willis,
America
happy to be your host
1776
today, joined by
on
my
YouTube,
co-host
Twitch,
out of the Auburn,
and
Alabama
Rumble.
headquarters.
Thank you. Enjoy.
The next president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's an honor. This is an honor, and I want to thank the people behind me because they have done an incredible job under very adverse conditions, I have to say. And they're very special people, very special. And congratulations to Paul. He gave a speech last week, which was incredible. I mean, they endorsed me, so I have to think it was incredible. So thank you all very much. It's a great group of people. They love our country. Before we begin, I want to address the unconstitutional decision issued today by a radical judge appointed by Biden. And it just came down in Virginia, illegally allowing non-citizens to vote in our elections. In fact, a poll came out, 87% of the people disagree. So that's pretty good amount, isn't it, Ted, huh? The outrageous decision goes against the very bedrock of our democracy. And thankfully, Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, who's doing a terrific job, is working hard to fix this problem. Found thousands of illegal votes, and the judge said you didn't do it in a timely fashion. They did it a long time ago. As legal scholar Andy McCarthy just said, and very correctly, how can non-citizens be allowed on the voter rolls if their voting is a federal crime? Constitutional law professor Jonathan Turley, two great guys, by the way, also notes that it is a crime to be a non-citizen voter. Removing illegal voters off the voting roll should be a big priority for this country, and yet instead we're scorned by a judge. This is blatantly un-American, and it's election interference, and Kamala Harris is behind it very much. And so I just wanted to bring that to your attention. And obviously, I mean, it's up to the governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin, but I assume they're going to be appealing it. I think he's going to, and they feel very strongly about it. So we'll see how it goes. But you have to get the confidence going for elections when you have decisions coming down like that, where they allow people to vote that blatantly aren't qualified to vote. It's pretty sad for our country. We have enough problems with the elections. It's about confidence. We're here today in the great state of Texas, which is, I like it. I like it. Which under Kamala Harris has been turned into ground zero for the largest border invasion in the history of the world. You're lucky you have your governor and people like Ted and Dan and all of the people, Sid. Even John, who's from a different state, but he feels the same way, or you would really have problems. But you've done an amazing job under the circumstances. But the federal government's supposed to be doing that job, and it should be easy, and it's not because of the people. But over the past 4 years, this state has become Kamala's staging ground to import her army of migrant gangs and illegal alien criminals into every state in America, and every state's a border state. You've heard that. It's true. Paving a trail of bloodshed, suffering, and death all across our land. And it's only getting worse. It's just incredible when you look at the numbers. 21 million people at least during this 3.5-year period. And many of them, as you know, are murderers, drug dealers, people from jails. They're letting their people out of jails and bringing them right into our country. We're like a dumping ground. What Kamala Harris has done on our border is cruel, it's vile, and it's absolutely heartless. Her policy of importing migrant gangs is a crime against our country. It's actually a crime against humanity. And her abolition of our border should disqualify her for even running. I mean, I don't know how you can run for the president of the United States and allow people to pour into our country. And we're talking about seriously criminal people, many of these people, and they come from all over the world. It's not just South America. They're coming in from Africa. They're coming in from the Middle East. The Congo, that's a hot place right now. A lot of people coming in from prisons in the Congo. They're coming into our country. It's not even believable, actually, when you think, you're standing up here, you're saying this stuff, John Barrasso, but you're saying this and you say to yourself, is it even believable? It's sort of like, actually in a smaller way, but still very important, men playing in women's sports. Who would want that? But, 10 years ago, you would never say that. And then you have the transgender operations all over the place. And you're saying this, and you have parental guidance. And we want our child to be parentally guided. And you have to make apologies for the fact that they're not, but they're going to be. And we're going to bring that back. We want our parents. But, if you go back 10 years or 15 years ago, if you ever made a speech like that, they'd say, this guy's crazy. What is he talking about? Those things would never happen. And they didn't happen until a certain time ago with the radical left. No person who is responsible for so much bloodshed on our own soil can ever be allowed to become president of the United States. And I think she's coming here today. She doesn't want to go to a swing state because she's losing so badly in those states. So she decided to come to Texas, and I'm sure she'll be treated very nicely. Today, she picked the wrong place. I think she picked the wrong place. What do I know about politics? I haven't done it that long, actually. But today, Kamala is here in Texas to rub shoulders with woke celebrities. Isn't that exciting? But she's not going to meet with any of the victims of migrant crime. While she's here, we have many of them right here, the families, we have many of them, and they're incredible people, what they've gone through, the hell that they've gone through, and will continue to go through, unfortunately. She'll not speak to the grieving mothers from whom she has stolen the brightest light in their lives. She was in charge of this border, and she doesn't like being called border czar anymore. She didn't mind it almost 4 years ago, but now she doesn't like it. But you don't need that term. She was in charge of the border. She never came here, and she never made one call to these people behind me or anybody in the group. Not one call. She's in charge. She deals with Border Patrol. She hasn't made, Paul, not even Not one call in 4 years. So we're joined today by a Texas mom, Alexis Nungary from Houston, a great woman. This past June, thank you. Great one. Where is Alexis? Where is she? Come up here, Alexis. Come up here. So this past June, Alexis's 12-year-old daughter, her precious angel, as you say, Jocelyn. We all called her that. We feel we know Jocelyn, and she's had a big impact, Alexis. You know that, right? She's had a big impact. Walked to a nearby convenience store. Jocelyn was kidnapped, tied up, assaulted, and I'm not going any further than that. I'm standing with the mother, and horrible things happened to her, to that young, beautiful girl. And the animals arrested for Jocelyn's barbaric murder are 2 illegal aliens believed to be members of the savage Venezuelan prison gang known as Tren de Aragua. And they're all over the place now. They're all over our country. They were in Aurora, but Aurora is now the least of it. They've taken over buildings in Aurora. The government, a radical left Democrat, weak person, doesn't know quite what to do. He's always got a big mouth when he talks about other things, but he has no idea what to do. And they have weapons of military grade. You say, how did they get those weapons? These monsters were in Border Patrol custody, but under a program Kamala Harris created to abolish detention for fighting-aged men, whatever that means, and give them free and automatic entry into the United States. The killers were released into our country, and Alexis, we cannot begin to imagine your pain. And if you'd like to say a few words, would you like to? Would you? Thank you. Thank you, Doug.
I want to thank everybody for Donald Trump, really, for the opportunity to be able to say my daughter's story. I know everybody knows somebody that was like her. She was 12. She was going to be a 7th grader, preteens. They think they're invincible. And she was just being a child. And due to the Biden-Harris policies we have here are why she's not here anymore. She was taken from her vulnerability, and they made her a target and ran with that. And now I will forever be a grieving mother, and my son will forever be a grieving brother who will no longer get to grow up with his sister. Kamala Harris has never reached out to me, just even as a human, to give her condolences as a humane person running this country. I think it's very sad that she can't even just give me an open apology, sincere apology. She's attempted to apologize to me just days before this election, and I find it very inconvenient and a convenience for her. I appreciate everything Donald Trump, Senator Ted Cruz has done for me. They've been a tremendous amount of help for me and my family during this incredibly hard journey for me. I want to thank everybody for listening to my words. Thank you.
So I want to thank you, Alexis, and we will never forget Jocelyn. We're not going to. We've all seen her picture. It's blazed into our minds, and the violence and viciousness, and nobody calls, nobody talks. So we have many others like that. The 13 soldiers that were killed so horribly in Afghanistan, nobody called them. Nobody calls them. But certain people they call, but they don't call them. They weren't called. They weren't treated properly. They were treated very badly, actually. And many others, including some of the people in this room, nobody calls. I don't know, just from a human standpoint, it's like you can't do much because it's done. We could have done much if we were running things, Ted. We would have had strong borders. We would have had all the things. At least they would have had a real good chance of not having been caught up in this crime wave that's happening. It's a crime wave. The number of people coming in, we have no idea what the number is. I say 21 million. A lot of people think it's more than that. And then you start talking about the gotaways. I think the gotaways could be, Dan, double that. Who knows what it is? They're running into the country. We have no idea. That we call them from parts. I call them from parts unknown. As of 2 weeks ago, Tom Homan told me it was 181 countries were represented and people pouring in. So it's no longer just a small group of people from the 3 or 4 countries that we're accustomed to talking about. In an interview last week, Kamala Harris was asked directly if she would apologize to Alexis for letting in the savage killer that took Jocelyn's life, and Kamala Harris refused to take any responsibility whatsoever. She refused to own up to the fact that open borders and totally unchecked. It's not even open borders. Open borders are horrible. And how stupid are they? How stupid. We're the only country in the world that has this, but they don't even check them. They don't vet them. They don't know who they are. They don't know where they're going. They just come in and then they fly them over. You know, when the border got a little bit tougher because people were getting angry and we had citizens standing at the border wanting to do, and then they get in trouble because they wanted to do the job the federal government's supposed to be doing. But she refused to own up to it. And last night she said she wants to make strong borders. I mean, what she did last night and the night before, the town hall with Cooper was just unbelievable. Allison Cooper got so angry. But think of it, never an apology, never a phone call to anybody. So thank you very much, Alexis. We're going to get this thing straightened out. We're going to get it straightened out. We got to get it straightened out. Just from the standpoint of our heart, no calls, no nothing. Worst of all, Kamala refuses to stop importing these killers into our country every day. She brings in more. She's got no remorse at all for the innocent blood that's on her hands. And the blood is on her hands, and Biden too, but Biden doesn't know where the hell he is, so what difference? I just saw him. He's making a speech somewhere, and he screwed it up pretty badly. But he's got his glasses, the whole deal, standing outside, wind blowing. He doesn't look great for us. He doesn't look, that's not what we want. That's not what we want. President Xi used to look at him and still does, I guess, right? But he used to he just said, this makes me so happy, he says. And Putin and the whole group, Kim Jong-un, they're tough guys out there. They're tough and they're smart and they're streetwise and they're at the top of their game. And we don't have that. That's very nice. Thank you. What a good line that is. That she said, that's why we have you. Thank you very much. Wow. Do you know that woman? You know that one. That's very good. Thank you. It's very nice. Thank you very much. 2 days ago, she said she could not think of any mistakes that she's made. She was asked a question. Can you think of anything that you would do different? Can you think of any mistakes that you've made? Now, actually, she couldn't think of it. It's about as good. She could say, I would have strengthened the border. I would have lowered taxes. There are about 500 answers she could give, and you're out of that question, right? She couldn't think of a thing. The worst of all, though, really is 325,000 young children are possibly dead, but many of them are dead, but they're sex slaves, or at a minimum, they're missing. They'll never see their parents again, most likely. We'll do everything we can when we come back. I don't know. It's very far down the line. We're going to do everything we can to get it. But think of what that number represents, Dan. 325,000. And the fake news media doesn't even talk about it. If that were a Republican instead, it would be the biggest scandal in history. It would be the equivalent of nothing else. And they don't even talk about it. They cannot talk about 325,000 for you people are missing. Think of that, are missing and probably will never be seen again, most of them. But we're going to do the best we can. It's a tough assignment. But most of them, they're probably dead. Under Border Czar Harris, there are 13,099 illegal aliens convicted of murder that were released from jails and prisons and penitentiaries, and they were set loose into the United States of America. We're like a garbage can. We're like a garbage can. First time I said it was last night. Gave a speech in Las Vegas. 29,000 people. It was an arena. We set the arena record. That was a big deal arena too. We set the record, but it was an amazing crowd. The first time I ever said it, I don't know, it just came out, garbage can. We're like a garbage can for the rest of the world to dump the people that they don't want. Do you know what they say from that? Their mental institutions are being emptied out. Their jails and prisons are being emptied out. And their gangs and their drug dealers and everybody's being taken off the streets. And Venezuelan crime is down 72%. Can you believe it? Well, that's because they don't, the criminals are being put here. If we don't win this election, we're going to go to Venezuela next year, Ted, and we're going to celebrate there because it's going to be much safer than our country. Okay, is that a deal? We'll all go together. No, it's just so bad. Well, I have to tell you, I'm not supposed to say it, but we are winning by a lot, actually. And the The reason is we want them to keep voting because we have to go, these used to take one day. Now they go on forever. And bad things happen. Lots of bad things happen. Where are those votes that I saw 2 days ago? Well, we're painting that section and we decided to move them, sir. Oh, you can't believe it. So they said, don't say it. So I didn't say it. Don't tell anyone I said that, but we're doing well. We're doing well in all 7 states. Every one of those swing states we're doing well. And we're doing really well here, but we expect that. But in another atrocity, Kamala released and unvetted MS-13 gang members from El Salvador into the United States. These are real beauties. MS-13, that's another gang. They use knives. They like knives because it's more painful. They cut people up. They killed 2 young students walking to school, 2 beautiful young women, young girls. And they were walking to school and they got them walking to school and they knifed them up and cut them up. Didn't want to use guns because that's not painful. And you know who got rid of them? ICE. They're friends from ICE. They work so well together. And Kamala wants, ICE is, you know what ICE is? Tough people that love our country. They have to be tough. Because I know a lot of tough people right up here. You don't want to do what they do. They got to be tough. And they've done a great job, but they did a very good job here. But the animal that went on to attack and tie up a 20-year-old autistic woman in Maryland before, raping her and then strangled her to death very violently in front of numerous people and actually put it on tape. These are the people we're bringing into our country. In New York this past summer, an illegal alien released into our custody and came into our country by Kamala. You know, I never use the word Harris because nobody knows who I'm talking about. When I say Harris, they say, who the hell is Harris? It's true. If I said VP Harris, nobody knows who it is. Can you believe she's a VP? A VP. How about the guy she's got? That's where I'm not sure. It might be worse than her. Well, she lived by the old adage, always get yourself a bad VP. And she's got one. We were very happy when we heard that choice, but we didn't know he was as bad as he did. He's a disaster. But Kamala approached 2 13-year-old children with, think of this, these people that she let in with machetes, knives, guns in broad daylight, forced them into the woods, tied them up together, their wrists, everything, raped the young girl at the park, filmed the entire thing, put it on camera, put it out for everybody to see, badly injured this person and somebody with her too, really badly. In Georgia this year, and you know this, everybody knows this, except Biden, he didn't know how to pronounce her name after pressure because he didn't talk about it either, Alexis. He refused to talk about it. Then he was actually forced to because it got so crazy. But in Georgia this year, an illegal alien criminal with ties to Trende Aragua kidnapped, assaulted, and murdered a brilliant young nursing student, Laken Riley. You remember? Laken Riley, it was a beautiful, I got to meet the parents a couple of times. They're incredible, but they're like devastated. You know, you can't really say, oh, well, everything will be, it's not going to be okay. It's not good. It's just, you can't really, there's nothing you can say, really. A lot of times they say, like to Alexis, what can I say? The only thing we can do is do something about it so it doesn't happen again, you know, and so we can do it. But she murdered her while she was out on a run. She wanted to keep herself in good shape, and they got her. Her killer was yet another monster released into America through this open border policy of Kamala and her group of radical left idiots. Under the Trump administration, we will end this migrant invasion and we will deport every last criminal alien targeting our daughters and our children, our families, other people's families. They're going to be gone. They're going to be gone fast. Some are so violent, you know, we can't let them go. We can't send them in because they'll come back. But we have some pretty strong policies that we're putting into place immediately on January 20th. We're honored to be joined by many of the incredible Border Patrol agents and law enforcement heroes who will help us restore safety to America. And I'd like to invite a very special person. He made such a good speech last night. They endorsed me. And this gentleman made a very good speech. I said, you know, I'm going to have to go back and start practicing. Ted, you and I are going to have to practice a little bit. But Paul Perez just assumed the big power position from Brandon, who was a fantastic guy. He's still involved in so many ways, but they endorsed me, something they're not really probably even supposed to do. I won't get into that, but they love the country. And in endorsing, they said very bad things about her. They don't want to say bad things either. They want to say great things. Even me, I didn't know I was going to do this. We had a very good first election. We had a much better second election. We got close to 12 million votes more than we did the first time, the highest number in history. And okay. And then I saw what was happening with the country. It was so bad and so incompetent. It didn't take long. I would have preferred that the country was really well run. John, I would have preferred it. If the country was really, if Biden got in there and he was a great president, I would have actually preferred it. And right now I'd be on a beach or a golf course or something. I'd be doing something else. But I'd rather be in Texas with you. I can tell you that. I'd rather be in Texas with you because we're going to make our country great again, and we're going to do it. And if I could ask Paul just to come up and say a few words, and I appreciate very much the endorsement, Paul. Thank you very much. Please.
Thank you, President. Thank you, President. I really respect the fact that you came out to Texas to highlight migrant crime, illegal alien crime. We've got some good people here in the front row that have been supporting the governor's efforts to do the federal government's job. And so we really appreciate that. But I want to talk about the person that's going to be coming to Houston tonight, not to apologize or highlight illegal alien crime, but to party like a fool on stage with celebrities. Instead of apologizing to the families, this is somebody who likes to brag about being a former federal prosecutor who prosecuted transnational gangs and cartel members. So she knew better, President Trump. She knew better than most exactly the threat that these people, these animals create, the threat that they bring to our communities that will harm our families. And these scumbags listed here on these pictures here are part of the Kamala crime wave. And because of that, the Kamala crime wave has devastated cities. President Trump strikes fear in the enemies of America. That is the type of leadership that we need in this country. Just recently, the criminal cartels have greenlit firing on Border Patrol agents. They would have never done that under President Trump because they know he would send the message that if you touch a single hair on a Border Patrol agent, I will eradicate you. That's the strength and leadership we need from President Trump, not the clowns that are running for president on the Democratic ticket. My daughter can handle a shotgun better than Tim Walz. And he served in the military, as he claims. The Secretary of Homeland Security, also a former federal prosecutor. They know better. They should have stopped this invasion. They did nothing. They not only facilitated, but they encouraged it. This border needs to be fixed, and the only person that can fix this border is Donald J. Trump.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much. Boy, it's you can't say it better. You can't say it better. And they really know the subject. If they thought somebody was slightly better, that's what they want. They just want it fixed. And their job's a lot easier just to let everybody pour through. It's a tough job when you do it right, but that's what they want. They love the country. This is just a great group. I've gotten to know them so well over the years. I did call them a lot. And we had the safest border. We put down my all-time favorite chart. Without that chart, I wouldn't be standing here, Dan. But that chart basically showed we had the lowest, and it was done by Border Patrol. We had the lowest number of illegal migrants. We had the lowest number of drugs in many years, and all of the different categories were number one. The day I left, and I said, we're going to have to come back. We're going to have to do it, and we'll do it even better because we really have experience now that we didn't have then. I want to thank the Guillen family. The Guillen family is here. They are incredible, incredible, brave, and beautiful family. They lost their daughter and sister, and she's up in heaven looking down, very proud of you and very proud of the stance that you took. A very vicious group of people, just liars, and a magazine that's a failing magazine run by a guy named Goldberg came out with a story, bad story about me, that I had told them I was going to do something, and all this. And they were so incensed that they said, we can't let them say that about what took place with the daughter. I was going to help them if they didn't get the military funding. I was going to fund it. I told them that, but they were able to get the funding. And I guess they came out with a story that, what's it called? The Atlantic magazine. Atlantic. This is a really bad, they were the ones that made up the story about me saying bad things about this, about the soldiers. The beautiful thing is that these people were willing to come out and say, it didn't happen that way. This man was, I had them into the White House, and they didn't have to do this. They could have sat back, and your daughter is so proud of you. I'm telling you, they didn't have to do that. I didn't, I have these people saying all this bad stuff. Then all of a sudden, the family that they're talking about comes out of nowhere and says, President Trump was perfect. What he did was so great. He got us the money. And I did say, if we couldn't get you the money for the funeral, I was going to pay it. But he got us the money, and it happened so quickly and nice. And they came out and they said that. Who would do that? A lot of people wouldn't do that. They'd sit back and they say, well, he was a nice guy, but we don't want to get involved or something. We love you. Thank you very much. We love you. And there was phony stories by a general that got fired, and he's a whack job, total whack job, a general. It's funny, when you fire people, see, Biden has never fired anybody, but when you fire people for doing a bad job, they get a little bit angry. Somehow it just seems to work. But he was a nut job to start off with. So it's such a beautiful story. Out of nowhere, we get a call saying that problem solved. Why? Because the family came to her. They said that the magazine totally lied and misrepresented. This was the same magazine that said that I said about dead soldiers that there was something, what was it? Suckers and losers. Think of it. I'm supposed to be standing there over the graves of soldiers with people around me, military people or whatever, making a statement like that. Can you imagine? Can you imagine anybody doing it? I think I'd end up I may be the president, but I think somebody would start a fist fight. And probably I would say, you were right in there. Who would do this? They make up stories. It's not even like they have sources. They don't have sources. They're storytellers. They say, what would be bad? I have a bad one. And you know when it's always released? Same time with the last one. It's released just before the election. That suckers and losers story, which was totally fabricated. There's nobody that loves the military. And these were World War I heroes. They died in World War I. And I'm saying, they were suckers. I mean, you know me. They were suckers and losers. Can you imagine it? And the problem I have, Ted, is that 5, 10, 20% of people, when they read that, they're going to believe it. So I talk about it because it was a terrible thing. You know, I walked past, I remember we're doing a big event and I was going back to Air Force One and they were under the wing, these fake news people. They're so bad. There's a lot of them back there, by the way. We got a lot of them honoring that special person, right? We got a lot of fake news. But I remember I'm walking past and I hear the people shouting and everything. And I heard this one voice, loud, boisterous, horrible voice say, did you call the dead soldiers from World War I suckers and losers? I said, I didn't, to myself, I said, man, that's a bad one. Because it's what? This sleazebag reporter, Goldberg, against me. I mean, and a percentage of people have to believe it. So all I can do is talk about it. But as soon as I heard that statement, I said, man, that's bad. Because to me, that's so bad. And that's what they do. These are evil people. They're a threat to democracy. And, we are not a threat. The threat to democracy is the other side. They've weaponized the courts. They've weaponized the FBI to go after people. They go after parents. They're going after Catholics. I don't know what's with Catholics lately. But if you're Catholic, you're being persecuted. Anybody that votes as a Catholic for this horrible candidate that can't put two sentences together, she can't speak. She can't put two sentences together. Can you imagine her standing with President Xi of China? I don't think so, Ken. I don't think. He would be a very happy man, but hopefully that won't happen. And based on the first 4 days, it's not going to happen. I want to thank some of the special guests we have. Senator Ted Cruz for being here, Senator Ted. And it's hard to believe he's in a race because honestly, I don't know who would want to run against him because he's really a great senator. He's a great senator. He loves the country. He's tough as hell. He fights. He's always fighting and he's fighting for the state, but he's fighting more for the country than just about anybody. And John Barrasso would acknowledge that. John is one of our leaders in the Senate, and he's a fantastic man. So Ted, I know your thing is going good. I heard you were helped very greatly. You got a big pop, right? And I know you're doing great, but I just want to say he's got my complete and total endorsement. He has always will have. And you're going to have a great day, and hopefully I'm going to have a great day, and we're going to be celebrating together, and we're going to make our country, as we say, or we'll make America great again. We're going to make it great, and it's going to go faster than you think, but it can't sustain this for another 4 years. That I do believe. A very good friend, the head of my campaign from the day I ran, he called. He said, I want to run your campaign. I said, well, I'm not very experienced. I'd never done this before. But he liked me and he saw something, I guess. Dan Patrick, he's a fantastic man. And Dan, we're doing okay, I hear. Good? Okay, good. When Dan says that, that's good. And by the way, if I had any problems, he would tell me that very quickly, right? But when Dan says it, it means a lot. Thank you, Dan, very much. Appreciate it. Attorney General Ken Paxton, a really great Attorney General. Great Attorney General. Thank you. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. You see, when they go after people, with bullshit, they become very popular. And that's what happened to Ken. Ken was made to suffer for a long period of time, but it worked out very well. And I stuck by him, and other people stuck by him. Some of the people right there stuck by him, including that one right there. So I think Ken, I said, he's a great attorney general. You got to stick by your attorney generals. And I'm very happy with the way that all worked out. But you went through a lot, right? And that's why they love you, because they understand that. Agriculture Commissioner, another friend of mine, Sid Miller. The first time I saw Sid, he was on television. Alexis, he was on television, and I didn't know him at all. He was on Deface the Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, Sid Miller on Deface the Nation. That's the name I call it. They don't like it. They spend millions on PR, and then I get on and say, Deface the Nation. But they do deface the nation, and the others are just as bad. But he was on there, and they said, well, Trump is going to be in a tight race. This is when I first ran in Texas. And we had an event, and we had a line that went 10 miles long to get into a stadium, and they couldn't even get in. And he looks at the anchor. He said, listen, I'm from Texas. He's had that beautiful hat on. I love that hat. I'd love to wear it, but it wouldn't work for me, I don't think, Ken would. Ken would say, it's no good for you. Take it off, please. But now he said, I don't know where you come from, but you don't come from Texas, because this guy's going to win in a landslide. And we won in a landslide, right? So thank you. Thank you. Sid's a great guy. Thank you, Sid. Appreciate it. Land Commissioner Dawn. Oh, I like that. I'd love to be Land Commissioner. I love real estate. Land Commissioner Dawn Buckingham. Thank you, Dawn. Great. Doing a good job. I hear that from everybody. And Chairman of the Texas Republican Party, Abraham George. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good job. So just in closing, thank you, Abraham. Great job. Immediately upon taking the oath of office, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history. We will put, and I don't like saying that, the record is Dwight Eisenhower, who was essentially a moderate, good president. General Eisenhower, good president, good general, probably a very good general, right? Better than he gets credit. He never got credit for a lot of things. He built the interstate system, actually. He should get a lot of credit, but he was a very good president. But he was a moderate guy, but he has the record for deportation because he could not stand people pouring into the country. And I think we'll break that record. Not that I want to break it, but we have no choice. We have to get all of these criminals, these murderers and drug dealers and everything. We're getting them out. And we'll put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail or kick them the hell out of our country, and we'll get them out. Ideally, we want to get them out because we don't want to have to pay for their room and board for the next 50 years, right? To expedite removals of the Trinidad Aragua group and the MS-13 other savage gangs, I'll invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Did you know that? I had to go back that far. We couldn't find anything because modern day politicians, even sort of old, nobody had the courage of these original people. So we had to go back to 1798, and it gives you the power to target and dismantle every migrant criminal network operating on American soil, and you can get them out, and there's no problem. And at least you can't say that it hasn't been around for a while. That's something, right? And if they come back into our country, it's an automatic 10 years in jail with no possibility for parole. So, because a lot of people, what happened, and it happened with Eisenhower, you'd take them out, they'd come back in, they kept coming in. So he kept bringing them further away. At some point, they didn't come back. But I'm going to do it differently. It's a 10-year system of you're in prison for 10 years with no parole. And I'm hereby calling for the death penalty for any migrant that kills an American citizen or a law enforcement officer. And you'll be amazed how it worked. When I was in the White House, we had a lot of people that wanted to pull down statues and things. I didn't like it too much. And we didn't have time to pass a law because they were really getting pretty violent around in Washington, D.C. And they wanted to pull down. Actually, when they started roping up Abraham Lincoln and a couple, I said, I'm not even sure they knew what they were doing. But we found a law that was in the early 1900s, very tough law, that if you so much as touch in violation of anybody's word, if you so much as touch a monument or a statue, you get 10 years in jail. And I had a news conference, and the town was flooded. We had a news conference. They had actually a rope around Andrew Jackson's head, the beautiful statue. And I said, we're going to go fast. And I went out, I did it. And it was a beautiful sight. The second I had 10 years in jail, no probation, nothing. And as soon as I said it, everybody just sort of walked. I could see them walking. I don't want to use the term I used last night. A certain part of their body, I watched the back. I saw thousands of them, and I said, what a beautiful sight. They just left. And that was the end. We had no more problem until about 2 months ago in D.C., where they became very violent. They were fighting with police. They were putting spray paint on our beautiful, on the lions, the beautiful lions. And, they're sandstone, and that's a very porous stone. You'll see that spray paint for many years to come, like hundreds of years. You can't really get it out. It goes deep into the stone. And to the best of my knowledge, nothing happened to them, did they? They were beating up cops, or the cops were beating them up, but they were fighting. They were fighting our police, our great police. We're going to take care of our police, too, by the way. They're going to stop the lawlessness. And I'm going to end all migrant flights immediately. They're still flying flights coming in with 450,000 people over a fairly short. 450,000, that's a lot of flights. And I'm going to outlaw immediately, and we're going to ask you guys to help on that. But we're going to outlaw immediately sanctuary cities. They're sanctuaries for criminals. And we're going to end catch and release once and for all. And Kamala Harris, she started this nightmare, open border. No common sense. We're the party of common sense. There's no common sense to an open border, and I will stop this nightmare immediately. November 5th, 2024 will be Liberation Day in America. So I want to thank everybody for being here. And Alexis, I want to thank you, darling. And your daughter, very proud of you right now, I can tell you. Very proud. This unbelievable family back there, thank you very much. We won't forget it. We're going to meet in the White House. We get there, I told them we're going to have lunch in the White House. All right? And that goes for you. Are we allowed to bring Alexis? Can we do that? They said yes, okay? So we're going to do that in honor of you, beautiful Jocelyn, okay? Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Ted. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Come on, Trump. Come on. I know he's a little busy. That was wonderful. Always love hearing our commander-in-chief. It just brightens our day and reminds us that we need to get out and vote. And if you haven't yet, please go. Because we don't know what shenanigans, to put it nicely, that they're going to pull on election day. So I think it's just important that maybe this time everybody goes a little early. Track your vote. You can go to Stop Steal. You can go to, let's see here, I've got a couple of them. Swamp the Vote USA.com or protectthevote.com. They have places where you can report anything that you see. Remember when you do to include details, okay? Because if there is something to it and they're going to investigate it, they need details, and we need to be able to provide them with an easy way to do it quickly. There, as you guys have probably seen, there are some what do you call it? Indictments that have come out recently against people that have been trying to pull stuff. So again, this is our time. We need to stand up and speak up. We need to take friends and family with us to vote. Make sure your elderly neighbors have a right or a way to exercise that right. And we all collectively as Americans, this is the time that we need to come together and save our country. And this is how we do it, by voting. Give President Trump the House, the Senate, the tools that he needs to do the work that we need him to do. And once he's back in, it's up to us then to get involved more locally, because he will be doing things at a federal level, and we need to be able to do them and have them roll down into our areas in order to make our communities better. And if each one of us does that, then we're going to have a beautiful, amazing, amazing nation. And I appreciate every one of you being here today. Thank you. If you're new, please give us a follow, a subscribe. Please go to Freedom of America 1776 on YouTube, Rumble, and Twitch. Our Rumble is Freedom of America 1776, and so is our Twitch, and so is our YouTube. So if you're watching us on APNX, help us grow our community over there, because you never know what's going to happen, and we always like to make sure that we can reach you guys. The closer we get to this election, please go get some extra water, some extra canned food. Make sure you have a can opener, stuff like that. I think it's really important that we all at least try to be as prepared as we can. In this economy, I know it's difficult, but help each other out. Help your neighbors out. If shit hits the fan, make sure that you're coming together. Stay away from any of the drama that may ensue. Don't get trapped into anything. But on the other hand, always defend yourself, your family, your property, and your neighbors, because innocent people do not need to get hurt in any of this. And I really do believe, as we've seen with the gaslighting, they want to create some sort of chaos, and then they want to blame us and Trump. No surprise there, right? But hold the line, patriots, okay? We're doing great. We're almost there. Don't give up, ever. Never surrender. We will not surrender this republic. And join us back here tonight. We will be here with Donald Trump, our commander-in-chief, live from Traverse City, Michigan. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a blessed rest of your afternoon, and I hope to see you tonight. Thanks for joining us.